friends, and welcome to the CUInsight Network podcast. My name is Lauren Culp. I'm the president and CEO at CUInsight.com, and it's my job on this show to have conversations with the thought leaders who support the credit union community. We get to talk about all those issues that affect credit unions and the best practices so that we can learn from one another and improve our credit unions. This episode is really special for me and for all of us here at CUInsight. Our guest on today's show is Robbie Young. She is our VP of Strategic Growth here at CUInsight. Robbie is a certified credit union development educator, CUDE. Shout out to all of those best classes ever. Robbie is also a mental health advocate, and she is our unending source of fun facts about the world here at CUInsight. Robbie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited, but also a little bit nervous for some reason, but here we are.
It's always fun to flip the script, flip the tables, and be on the other side today. All right. Well, most of us didn't grow up thinking that we get to work with credit unions. And I already know a little bit about your story, but tell me, what did you want to be growing up?
So I knew when I was a kid that I wanted to be a surgeon. And it was a surgeon because I loved animals, but I knew that if anything sad happened to them, I couldn't deal with it. So I felt like the next best thing was helping people because it didn't make me feel so sad.
So not a veterinary surgeon.
Nope. Couldn't have done it. I still don't watch movies where something sad happens to animals. I just avoid them.
All right. Well, one of my favorite parts about this episode is, like I said, getting to flip the script and talk about CUInsight a little bit. So from your perspective, and I also want to get to how you got to where you are, but let me ask you this question first. What do you think that CUInsight really brings to the credit union industry in terms of value?
I say this a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard me say this, but we are able to move really fast, but that's because the world moves really fast. So we're constantly curating content that keeps all the credit union professionals in the loop, trends, regulatory updates, innovations, different kinds of solutions. And we're not just all about quote unquote news. We're really a platform for thought leaders and a place for ideas and sparking new ideas. You could look at the content like a daily professional development opportunity. With the kinds of content we have, like the CUInsight MiniCon, all the different writers that share their thoughts. And of course, we have our partners and the people that we work with who support credit unions and offer awesome resources specifically tailored to credit unions and making them better.
I love it. And I agree. +1
for those keeping score.
Yes, exactly. I'll add on. Robbie, you are, as you know, our first VP of Strategic Growth here at CUInsight. And we really built the position for you and for all of the skills and talents that you bring to the role. So to go back earlier, we know you didn't end up as a surgeon, although I guess there is still time. But can you give our audience a little insight into your day-to-day, what you do, and how you got to this point in your career?
So this might be no surprise to you, but we all wear a lot of hats here at CUInsight, but that's one of my favorite parts. As you mentioned, the VP of Strategic Growth wasn't even something that I knew I would grow into, but I'm so glad that I did. And I'm really glad that it was pointed out to me that I tend to think about things on a much more strategic level when it comes to working at CUInsight. So I really like diving into data and understanding what our audience is really craving. Some days that might be brainstorming new ways to bring valuable content based on things that we're seeing outside of the industry and what experiences we can bring. Of course, always connecting with our incredible partners and resources to continue to drive more opportunities to credit unions to be bigger and stronger and keep thriving. It's a lot of juggling, but I really love the challenge. I think I would be really bored if maybe that's why I'm here, because I might not be a surgeon, but I feel like I'm constantly challenged and learning and growing. It definitely has been a journey. I did start off my career in healthcare, and I've just always had passion for community and really making a difference. So it was kind of an easy switch when I got involved with credit unions and the people helping people philosophy and joining CUInsight a little more than 8 years ago. I've been really fortunate to have learned so many things as I've been here at CUInsight and really have had some great mentors. Not to toot anyone's horn on this call, but there is somebody that I really look up to here amongst other people on the team. But I'm really a believer in constantly learning, professional development, and really just crafting the opportunities you want. But that personally and professionally, I'm excited to see what else I can do and how else I can keep growing CUInsight.
I love it. And I would say probably all of the things that you're talking about, the strategic perspective that you bring to the team and always thinking about the ways to make us better is something that our clients and partners and advertisers and community contributors, everybody that we work with and talk to in the space probably all already know about you. So I'm sure that there's not a big surprise there. Robbie, you're also known throughout the credit union space as a really strong advocate for mental health. Many of our listeners have probably read your articles or seen your LinkedIn posts on the topic. And it's a really important conversation, not only for the sort of world at large, but also for the credit union space. And I would say mental health is something that we don't see discussed in the credit union industry a whole lot. And so this is really important leadership. But what does mental health mean to you?
So you're absolutely right. Mental health is a cause that I'm incredibly passionate about. Much like a lot of people, the story of getting here is not always my most positive one. I did lose my brother to suicide, and that really served as a launching off point for me. I already consider myself a very empathetic person, but it really served as a launching off point for me to focus on that. So I'm always grateful for the opportunity to raise awareness about mental health, wherever it is, including the credit union industry and our space as a whole. Mental health to me isn't just the absence of illness, it's an overall well-being. It's about feeling really good emotionally and mentally and socially. It's about having resilience to navigate all of life's up and downs, which we know there's a lot of ups and downs nowadays. Having the tools to cope with stress, adversity, and also about fostering and developing essential human skills, resilience, empathy, communication, self-awareness that really allow us to connect with others and navigate challenges. Mental health is just as important as physical health, yet it's really often stigmatized and overlooked, as you mentioned. I believe it's really crucial to break down those barriers and create a safe space with open conversations. In the credit union industry, we're constantly serving others. So it's especially important to prioritize our own mental health because you can't pour from a cup that's empty. When we take care of ourselves, we're better equipped to support our members and our colleagues and our communities. That's really what drives me to be so committed to advocating for mental health awareness and opening up resources in the space. I really want to see a culture shift where it's okay to not be okay, where everyone feels empowered to seek the support they need. And I truly believe that when we prioritize mental health and the human skills that support it, we create really stronger, healthier, and more compassionate industries for everybody. So it's just become really a day-to-day mission for me to always be improving my own mental health while helping others improve theirs.
First of all, thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your story and how you got to this point. And I think it goes without saying that the things that you've been talking about are so, so critical. And being that leader that you are in the mental health space today, I hope also inspires a lot of the listeners on this episode and all of the folks in the industry, because I do think it is something that we don't talk about enough. For those who might need mental health resources themselves, where do you suggest they go? And how do you think all of us can be really effective mental health advocates?
For sure. At credit unions, many of our employee assistant programs do contain some kind of resources for mental health, though they might not always be as robust as we hope they will be. It's a start. The National Credit Union Foundation, for example, they have some resources on supporting mental health while supporting financial health and how those things work together. There is the new 988 crisis text line that you do not have to be in a crisis to text or reach out to. You can be reaching out for yourself or someone you love or a friend or whoever you feel needs assistance, or if you just need some advice on how to assist somebody. But to really be an effective mental health advocate, we can all start conversations. We can all listen with empathy. We could really educate ourselves about mental health conditions, support mental health initiatives, promote self-care, and really be kind to ourselves and others. Always remember that even small actions can make a really big difference in creating a more supportive and inclusive environment for mental health.
Well, I appreciate all of the resources that you've shared, and we'll link to those in the show notes here for anybody who might be interested. And I think what you're saying about really anyone can take a step and take hopefully multiple steps towards supporting mental health, no matter what their sphere of influence is.
For sure. Yeah.
I will say I am just personally inspired by the work you do, and it is so critical for our space. And thank you again for your courage and sharing your own story. And I can't even put a number to how many people's lives are affected when we are really, really outspoken advocates for mental health. And so thank you for leading that for our industry.
Of course. And I know sometimes I joke about it, but I always call myself an extrovert. And I'm willing to be the loudest person in the room until somebody who didn't think they could be feels like they can talk about their story or what they need to talk about.
I love that. I absolutely love that perspective. And that actually brings me to my next question, because I wanted to ask you about CUDE, the Credit Union Development Educator Program. You're a certified CUDE, and many of the folks listening today are probably also DEs. I'm a DE. We've got a whole bunch here at CUInsight, and we hope to have more. And now you're going back as a mentor. And I know in your experience at DE, you're able to talk a little bit more about your journey too. I'm curious, and for those who don't know, this is the Credit Union Development Educator Program hosted by the National Credit Union Foundation. It is a great program. I think there's over 3,000 DEs now. There's an international DE program. So it's a really cool program. But what has been your experience with DE?
Yeah. So when I got to participate at DE, it was interesting because it was their first in person after COVID. It was about a year after I had lost my brother. And so I didn't know what to expect when I got there. I just knew I needed to trust the process, as you often hear during your stay there. And I knew I was going to learn a lot of things and meet great people. And I'm an extrovert, so I was along for the ride. So really, we got immersion into the history and the philosophy of the credit union movement, and then gained a lot of insight on how to better serve our members and our communities and all of those things that you would expect. It really pushed me to marry my personal advocacy for mental health to my professional world, which I didn't know that option existed. And it's kind of surprising to me that I didn't realize it before then, but I'm glad it opened my eyes to it. I allowed myself to speak very candidly about the struggles in my personal story with mental health and losing my brother. And the vulnerability I gave was met with so much support, and it really allowed me to integrate my advocacy in both my professional and personal life. I'm really looking forward to returning as a mentor. I hope that it'll be equally as rewarding, and I think it will be because I do enjoy the conversations that are had. So I'm looking forward to supporting the new DEs that I hopefully they're looking forward to me as well. But seeing their growth and maybe how they can personally and professionally marry advocacy efforts or something they're passionate about, because we all know everybody's always looking for their job to be something they love. And I can truly say that my job is something that I love doing. And I'm glad about all the opportunities I've had to really bring those things to light.
That is awesome. We're going to link to the program here too. So if you're interested in getting involved, you'll see that right in the show notes. We are super excited, Robbie. You'll have to write an article or something about your experience as a mentor too.
For sure.
As we look to the road ahead, the pace of change is faster than ever, all of that stuff. The world is changing. What are you excited about for the future of CUInsight?
I think the question is there anything I'm not excited about? Every day that I would say go into the office, but I walk into my remote home office and I turn on my computer, there's always new technology and new resources and new things that are kind of setting light bulbs off in my head to either bring to CUInsight or change or do. So it's really everything. I mean, with the way AI is changing and data and all the things that can really allow us to make smarter decisions as credit unions, as an industry as a whole, I really think that it's nothing but to the moon,
I love it. It is so true. Well, as we wrap up the show, I always like to have some fun with rapid fire questions to let our listeners know you a little better. So if you're ready, I will say the questions are rapid. Your answers don't have to be though. So are you ready?
I believe I am ready.
All right. We have a few special Robbie questions in this section. So these are rapid fire questions you have never heard before. All right. First one. What is your favorite fun fact?
Oof. So a lot of my fun facts are triggered by the conversation that's going on around me. But one that I like to rattle off quite often is people are more creative when they're in the shower. So when you're taking a warm shower, that experience really increases your dopamine flow and allows you to be more creative. That's why a lot of times when people go, you know what I remembered when I was in the shower this morning, it's because you're able to think more clearly.
That is so interesting. And I take a break from our regularly scheduled programming here. Just a side note, we really do get so many fun facts from Robbie. She's this wealth of knowledge about the world. All right, back to the rapid fire questions. Next question. What is your favorite tech tool?
Okay. So I have been very open about this. I discovered that I have ADHD and was diagnosed late in life. But what I realized is the things that I've always loved so much, which are any technology that helps with tasks or organization or breaking things down or anything like that, I absolutely obsess over. I love technology. I love being able to see things differently. So I am always on the App Store looking at the new productive apps that have come to the Apple App Store and all those kind of things. I don't know that I could really nail down one because they probably change as quickly as the seasons for me.
All right, we'll let you dodge that one. Question 3, who is someone in your life that was a great leader and what makes them so great?
Well, not to sound savvy, but I have learned that I really appreciate my father's leadership style. He is a police officer and he spent so much of his career just always taking the opportunities that were presented to him. So he went to all the different schools and learned everything he could. And he started his police career in a non-traditional way. He didn't go to college, so he just went to the academy. And when I was growing up, it wasn't as common to have parents in my area not go to college. So when he decided to go to the academy, he was really excited and he went and he just hit the ground running. And it really reminds me a lot of myself in that, where I'm always looking for the next exciting opportunity. And I've really learned that what I respect most about my dad is that especially in his career, where he is a police officer, where that's not always the brightest light shined on that industry, but he's always very open to the conversation or discussion around what's going on or how to make things better. So I really respect his ability to listen as a leader. And, being such different professions, I was very surprised when we started to really conversate a lot more about leadership and how to communicate better and things like that. It's just something I didn't expect when I was growing up.
That is so cool. I love that answer. All right, next question. If you're going to splurge on something, you want to treat yourself, what's something you might invest a little bit in, whether it's time or resources?
I really love adventures and experiences, whether they are costly or they're not. For example, during COVID, when the whole world was shut down, I developed something I like to call Airbnb roulette. And it was like on a Monday, I would look at drivable Airbnbs and would just pick the one that was like on the most discounted because they hadn't sold for the weekend. And it really allowed for us to not only get out in a safe way, but to see new areas of this side of the East Coast where I live by South Carolina and just do fun things and create different experiences.
That is so cool. I will have to add my
it was quite a bit of fun.
All right, next question. If you travel for work, I know you do, what city are you most excited to visit, whether it's a conference or anything else?
I don't know that I can nail down a city because I just love any place that has a really exciting restaurant scene. I'm sure you've heard me talk about this before, but everyone's always excited to see a Michelin restaurant or something like that, where I like to stay on a little bit of the fiscally conservative side and shop on the Michelin Bib Gourmand list. And those are oftentimes restaurants that are trying to get Michelin stars. So they tend to be a little bit more affordable, easier to get into. And I just love looking at new places and the environments that they create and the different kind of foods and culture that they bring to wherever I'm going.
That's a great pro tip. I will also. Awesome. What is a book that you think everyone should read?
I could probably, depending on what season of life I'm in, because I read multiple books at once, which I didn't know wasn't everybody's go-to move. I've learned recently that not a lot of people do that. But recently I read A Starry Messenger, A Cosmic Perspective on Civilization by Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I loved it. The book makes you realize how, and this might sound strange, but truly small and insignificant everything is. And there was a lot of comfortability that I found in realizing that there's just this huge, huge world and galaxy around us. And we're just really a blip on the radar.
We're going to link to that book here as well. I have not read it, but I will add it to my list too. Next question. What has been your best hack for creating balance and integration between your work life and your life? Also knowing that I can see when you're online in the evening.
So probably kind of off of the Starry Messenger book, I have just spent a lot of this year really taking time to reframe the way I think about things and allowing myself the comfort in knowing that balance or integration can look different every single day, maybe even every hour, depending on how the day is going. But you just have to know that what you need in the moment to be the best you has just really become an integral part of who I am for being a best human. And then I can only make myself better as a mother, as a professional, as a wife, all of those people I serve. It makes me better by taking care of myself. So I've really just taken a lot of solace in saying, hey, I might not have control of this, but I can just roll with it and we'll figure it out. And tomorrow's another day and it's going to be okay.
I like it. Great perspective. Well, we're going to link to everything we talked about today in the show notes, like I said, along the way. But Robbie, my last question for you on this very special episode is, do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share or final asks of our listeners?
Yeah, so I have recently read The Starry Messenger. There's a lot of interesting nuggets that I took from the book, but one of them was he says in one of the chapters, the first 9 Apollo missions were just supposed to be going to explore the moon. That's all we were doing, going to explore the moon, find more about the moon. And while doing that, the astronauts looked back over their shoulder and really discovered the Earth for the first time, and just how profound of an image it was to look from the other direction. And for me, I think it was really a perspective that encouraged me to kind of step back from my daily routine and see our lives and the world around us with kind of fresh eyes. Just like the astronauts saw the Earth in a new light, we can really gain a broader perspective of our challenges and relationships and place in the grand scheme of things if we just kind of take a step back.
That is a great way to wrap up the episode. There has been so much good insight in this one. Robbie, thank you so much for being on the show today. It was a blast to have you. I said that was my last question, but I actually have one more, which is, where can folks find you if they want to get in touch?
Yeah, so you can find me obviously on CUInsight and LinkedIn as well. I think I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, so I'm sure you can find it easily by just going to those 2 places.
Perfect. And we will link to those here as well. Thank you so much, Robbie. This has been such a treat. And thank you to all of our listeners today for tuning into the CUInsight Network podcast. We will be back again next time.